Well, hey, everybody. Happy Thursday. Getting ready to record episode, holy cow, number 59 of Mike in the Midwest Open Mic Part 2. 5 topics and 5 minutes on each. So it'll be a shorter show today, but hey, we're busy. It's back to school time. But let's have some fun. I got some stuff to talk about. Let me see here. Let me open up my notes. Keep.google.com. Let's give it a little color. Hello, Herschel. Hello, Margie. All right. Can actually see now. Not the most attractive glasses, but I can see now. So that's the good thing, I think. We'll see. It's much nicer. Okay, here we go. Well, hey, everybody. Happy Thursday. Hope you are doing great. Welcome to Mike in the Midwest, a mini podcast for the amazing patrons of the Be Our Guest podcast. We're recording the show here on Thursday, August 6th. Is it already August 6th? Holy cow. 2021, episode number 59. We're calling this one Open Mic Part 2 because in just a few minutes, I'm going to take 5 topics. Spend 5 minutes or less on each topic and just kind of give some thoughts on things and get your feedback for next week's shows. Remember, anything you hear today, please go by patreon.com/BeOurGuestPodcast. Leave me a little story, a nugget that you hear that maybe this brings to your mind your perspective on things. Because again, Mike in the Midwest is a show about growing up here in Missouri, about my life, my experiences. And while we have many similar experiences, I'm sure, whether you grew up on the East Coast, West Coast, other parts of the world, I bet you we have many different experiences, which I think is kind of the flavor of life, right? So please do. The feedback is essential for the show. I really enjoy it. And I kind of wait to read it until I record the next week's show, because that way everything's fresh when I record, I think. And I really enjoy hearing your perspective on things. So on these little mini topics, give me your thoughts, maybe similar thoughts, maybe different thoughts. I'd love to share those on episode 60 next Thursday of Mike in the Midwest. All right, so let's catch up. What's going on here in Missouri in the Be Our Guest podcast studios area? So right now, just got to tell you, if you come to St. Louis, or where I live, a suburb of St. Louis called St. Charles, I'm telling you, man, we have Chamber of Commerce weather this past week. Normally in August, and it's going to be back this weekend, we get just wicked humidity this time of year, smoking hot, terrible humidity. And, typically days 95, with 75, 80% humidity. It's rough. This past week, we've had highs of 78 to 80 with no humidity. I mean, it's amazing. So if you notice, like on my runs, I got a lot faster, not because I got any faster, just because I wasn't cutting through the soup that I was down in Florida and, typically here in Missouri. So I took advantage of that. As the temperatures go up, might get slower. So I've enjoyed that. And then once it gets too hot, I'll be back on the treadmill. I'm a baby, I don't run in the humidity. So great weather. I'm excited for that. Paige has been home. They get 2 weeks off from the basketball squad this time of year. So she's back home and we're having kind of fun doing stuff with having her here. And of course, Riley has been here. So that's always a cool thing. Riley, the wonder dog, the golden doodle. She's sitting here listening to the show as we speak. So things are going well here in St. Louis. So I just kind of like to catch up on what's going on behind the scenes in my life. I'm glad to have Pam and Ricky back on this week's shows because they were both down at Walt Disney World for last week. Again, huge shout out to Scott. Thanks for always sitting in when the ladies are unavailable. Scott's kind of the 4th member of the team. He jumps in not only on Sunday nights as we do the call-in shows, but he'll be there on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday when we need him. And I hope you enjoyed those shows that he did. And I really enjoyed the percentage show. I kind of like to get your feedback on if you'd like to hear more of those. That's my kind of stuff. I mean, behind the scenes, I love trip reports. I love listener questions, but I also love having conversations with people to see what they think. Because, my perspective on things is just like what I have in my knowledge base, but maybe I'm not seeing things globally or from a different perspective. So I thought that, what percentage of guests do you think wear Disney attire to the Magic Kingdom? I tend to be very optimistic and think every Disney fan's like me and has their Mickey shirts laid out at 6 months in advance. I don't know, because maybe you just go down for the rides and it's like, who cares what we wear? I don't care. So I love hearing this. So let me know about that Friday show, because I really enjoyed that. And I think I want to do one with Pam and Ricky, because they'll have different perspectives than Scott did. And we can come up with some new scenarios as well. But the podcast is going great. You guys are supporting that podcast. It's going out all around the world. The numbers are growing. They've been growing since the pandemic. Steadily growing, and I appreciate that so much. We have a lot of new listeners in the community, and we're going to get together here soon. We're going to announce a couple of meets for the 50th anniversary weekend down at Walt Disney World, late September, early October, and then of course we'll be meeting up with the Be Our Guest podcast Lizards and at the Wine and Dine Half Marathon weekend. I still don't have a hotel room because I booked it. I wasn't even going to run wine, and you guys have heard the story. I had no intention to run Wine and Dine. Then I got caught up in all the hype. Like, oh my gosh, it's the first race back. It's going to happen. I was down at Walt Disney World with Scott. He got me all excited. I'm registered now for the 10.5 and didn't have a hotel room because I wasn't planning on going. It's football season. We played Georgia that week. I mean, it's a Georgia-Mizzou game. I don't want to miss that. But I'm going down and going to have a great time at Walt Disney World. And but I don't have a hotel room yet because there's only one hotel left. It's Animal Kingdom Lodge. And if I stay there by myself, I will be disowned by my family. So I'm hoping something pops up. We'll figure it out. And then, of course, again, Marathon Weekend, Dopey again, number 6. So we'll have lots of meetups over Marathon Weekend. Of course, the gang will all be there. You'll see lots of Lizard Green and hugs and high fives and all that good stuff. So if you're running any of the races, it's going to be a good time. Princess signups are coming up here soon. I'm not sure about that one. And then, of course, we got the surprise we get in April. That one cracks me up because when it comes to registration, I want to know, like, are you registering blind? That's a lot of faith because you don't even know the distance you're running. I would imagine they'd have to at least tell you the distance, right? I mean, right? I mean, you're signing up for something. I'd like to know how many, what my training's got to be. If I'm going to plop down a couple $100, am I running 10 miles? Am I running 13 miles? Am I running 13K? Am I running 10K? What's the deal? So maybe the theme is a surprise, but the distance, who knows? Maybe you do sign up blind on the distance. That'd be an ultimate leap of faith. We do that every year with like iPhones, right? I don't buy an iPhone every year. I buy one usually every 2 or 3 years. But when I buy it, I always like to have it on the very first day it comes out. Just one of those things. And again, I don't get one every year, but when I do, I always buy it on faith. I mean, I've heard about previews and what people think is going to happen. You see the press event maybe three days ahead of time. But if you buy it if you want it on day one, you're buying it on faith because you haven't touched it. You haven't seen it in the wild. That's kind of how the surprise race weekend may be in April. So we'll have to see how that goes. Okay, a little feedback from last week's show. And I got to share this because it's Margaret Olander, one of my great friends. We sailed with her and Tucker on one of the Be Our Guest podcast cruises. Just love her. She has a great big YouTube channel on knitting. I hope I got that right. So she'll have to share that here in the Patreon so everybody can check that out. But Margaret says, we talked last week about the dreams of 5 rings. We kind of hit the Olympics, which is going to be one of the topics in open mic here in just a second. Just a little feedback from what I've seen so far. But Margaret says, always love your stories, Mike. I had to Google Hocus too, and you're so right about the lack of ads for them. Must be a great product to do so well, without spending so much on advertising. So a couple weeks ago, we talked about how on my trip, actually on Open Mic Part 1, the very first one, I was shocked at how many people I saw wearing Hocus at Walt Disney World, because I thought they only sold Hocus like online and in running stores, but I saw a lot of folks who were not runners. I'm assuming they're not runners, just walking around Walt Disney World in all kinds of Hocus. And I'll tell you what, that's a great idea. If you want to spend the money, they're not cheap. They're usually about $100, but man, they're like walking on these big marshmallows. They're not very attractive looking. They're kind of like moon boots. But yeah, I've seen. Let me know because you guys are probably going to be down there here soon. So let me know if you see a lot of Hocus. Maybe I was just looking for them because I wanted a new pair because my old Hocus, the bottoms were wore off of them and they had like 3-4 holes in them, so they were pretty bad. She also says regarding dressage, it's not exactly the horse dancing to the music, but rather the horse responding to the rider's direction. But here's the trick: the spectator shouldn't be able to see that communication goes on between the rider and the horse. It's an amazing relationship that's beautiful to watch. And I won't tell you what a good dressage horse costs. Okay, that's good because I'm a layperson when it comes to dressage. I've just seen it on. I love watching the obscure Olympic events. I'm right now behind me here in the studio. I'm watching a field hockey game between two countries that are not the United States, and I just find it amazing. Just some of the rules. When there's a penalty shot, everybody puts on the defensive, helmets and shin guards and stuff. But the rule says immediately after the shot, you have to throw all that stuff off and put it behind the goal immediately, or you get a penalty. It's stuff like that. It's crazy. It'd be like in hockey when you're on D. Okay, now when you get the puck, okay, you're on offense. Throw away your gear. It's weird. So I'm glad you shared that about dressage because I love watching. It's like tantalizing because I really don't know. I guess it is a sport, but it's not a sport where you got to be physically demanding, I guess, like is the rider of the horse. But I guess it takes discipline, tons of discipline, tons of training. And the fact that Margaret mentioned that the trick of it is that you don't want to see the rider directing the horse. I never saw it. It's like that horse could have gone out there with an American Girl doll strapped on it and done its thing. It's amazing. So they're doing the thing right. And I can't even imagine what a dressage horse costs because my cousin's son, he's not famous, but he's a very successful team roper, like in rodeos. And he's been ever since he was a little kid. And they've had, these horses that they get for team roping. And my cousin has told me what they have paid for these horses. And it is unbelievable. I'm like, that's a horse. Like, you think a horse might be $1,000. Nope. Because these are super trained horses. And I guess, you win the purse, a few times and the horse pays for itself, I guess. And Margaret wraps up saying, and another bit of sports trivia from this golf pro's daughter, in the golf world, golf is a noun, not a verb. One does not golf, nor go golfing. Instead, we play golf or will be playing golf. Think of it as another ball playing sports. We don't go footballing. I guess they say that in England, I think, but we don't say that here. Baseballing, basketballing, or soccering. We play them. Just thought you want to know this little tidbit since you'll soon be hosting the BOGP Open, which I think is an awesome idea. I don't know how I got into this. One round of golf turned into the BOGP Open, which we're going to try to do something with. But I'm still a terrible golfer, but I am going back soon to Top Golf here because Paige is home, like I said. And we're going to go out there because on Father's Day, I got a gift card to Top Golf and I didn't use all of it. And I got a bonus little $20 card. So it expires at the end of August. So I'm pretty cheap and I want to make sure I get my value out of that. So we're going to go hit some golf balls soon out at Top Golf. So maybe I'll do a video and throw it up on socials for you. All right. So let's get to open mic here on Mike in the Midwest. I want to talk about 5 topics real quick. And, 5 minutes or less, and just kind of get your feedback on these things. First of all, one of the things I wanted to talk about, and again, can't make a whole show out of this, but how awesome sunrise is. When's the last time you got up and saw the sun come up where you live? Or maybe on your Walt Disney World vacation? For years, I was one of those people that slept in, and I know a lot of people have jobs and so forth and that may not allow you to be up when the sun comes up. Here around in St. Louis about this time of year, sunrise is typically about 5:45. I'm a big baby, so I like to get up super early and run before the sun gets too hot. There's a huge difference in running early in the morning than running mid-morning when the sun's up. It makes the run a lot more pleasant. But what I love is when I walk out to our lake, which I run around this little 1/4-mile path around our lake many, many times, is that when I get out there this time of year, it's been a little cooler, like I said. So there's like this fog on top of the water because the water is very warm. You can kind of see the first break of daylight on the horizon. The skies, pink, orange, blue. It's many, many colors most mornings. When I walk out of the house this past week, I could see Saturn prominently in the southwest sky. And really, the world is still so still at that point that it's a really cool time. And I think that's one of the reasons I like running, is that I get to get up and, every sunrise is just slightly different. Whether there's clouds in the sky, it's a clear morning. What phase the moon's in, what planets you can see. Sometimes you see the International Space Station pass overhead. And also where we live, we have lots of animals, not only in the lake, but just around the lake. Next door to our lake, there's a row of trees, and then there's a field beyond the trees, and there's a gap in the trees. And in that field, there's all these deer every morning. So the funny thing is like, you can see that this time of year, some of the deer have gotten very large, the bucks, I guess, but you also see the baby deer. And so it's just kind of fun too, as you're going, do many, many laps. And so as I, run past that opening in the tree line, I get to see the deer, running through the field or grazing or what have you. And it's just, it's a special time because the animals are up right there at daybreak. They're active and, get to watch out on our lake. We have these two birds that have come in. I'll take a picture and post them on social, and you guys can maybe help me out. They're not ducks. They're birds. They have real long, skinny necks, but they now just swim around our lake. And like I said, they're not ducks. We have ducks, but these two are not ducks. They land on the lake and they swim around. They look like ducks when they're out there, except they have long, skinny necks. But what happens is these two birds go underwater and they'll come up on the other side of the lake. They can swim all the way across the lake underwater. And when they come up, they'll have one of our koi fish in their mouth. They're just eating all the fish like it's a free buffet. So I'm hoping we have enough fish in there to sustain these two birds' ravenous appetites. But so that's kind of fun to watch while I'm running around. And plus, we had yesterday, we saw Mama Duck has 7 little ducklings, newborn ducklings, just following around the lake. And it's just, when you get up in the morning and everything's like a fresh day, you got a whole new day in front of you and you get to, running's not the most pleasant thing in the world, but when you're watching Mama Duck and the ducklings out on the lake and these, strange birds that are picking fish and deer, and you get to watch, the different colors in the sky, sunrise is a pretty cool time. So I'm just saying, make it a point here in the next couple weeks. See a sunrise. It'll be good for the heart. And also, let me tell you, now that we're back to cruising here this week, you have got to see a sunrise and a sunset, at least one, on your cruise. There's nothing like a sunrise or a sunset on a cruise. It's just, I know you don't want to get up early. You want to pull a Ricky, right? Nope. You got to get up. You will not regret it. It's good for the soul. Okay. That's number one here on the list. The second one I want to talk about, again, kind of nature-y. How awesome. Maybe this is just me because I used to love as a kid playing outside until mom or dad made me go inside. I love playing wiffle ball in the backyard, soccer, kickball, whatever it was. We'd shoot baskets in the backyard. I had a hoop in my backyard growing up on the patio. But just in the past week or so here in St. Charles, where I am, the sound of the cicada have come back prominently. And is there really a better sound than, to me, I know some people hate the sound of cicada. To me, the cicada sound is just, it reminds me of childhood. It reminds me of the good times. It reminds me of summer. I think most people love summer, and the sound of cicada, just that, just because sometimes a lot of times you hear it in the evening, kind of towards sunset, but also later in the summer, you start to hear it in the afternoons and even in the mornings. And I think it's exciting to hear that sound because, again, I see it as a uniquely kind of American thing. I'm sure the cicada all over the world, I don't know about that. I've never done research, but it just kind of reminds me of the good times because the cicada were the cadence of the summers of my youth, and those were the best times of my life. I would say they were great. Also, kind of on that same note, lightning bugs. How cool is it when you see the first lightning bug of the summer? I'll tell you what, we haven't seen a lot of lightning bugs this year for some reason, but about a week ago, I was running some trash out to the bin, and I went around to the side of the house and I saw the first lightning bug of summer. I know it's late in the year, right? It's August. So I probably saw the first lightning bug around the 1st of August, but it's one of those things that, where I grew up, there's lightning bugs everywhere. We caught them, we threw them in peanut butter, old peanut butter jars, and poked holes in the top and threw grass in there thinking they would live forever. And you wake up the next morning, they've either gotten out, which is worse, or they're dead. But when you think about it, these little bugs that fly around everywhere, they don't hurt anybody, and they glow and they flash. It's pretty amazing when you think about a lightning bug. Lightning bugs are cool. And when you see that first lightning bug of the summer, again, something kind of magical to that as well. So just wanted to talk about that and get your feedback on lightning bugs and the sound of cicada. All right, point 3. I got to talk about this. So, and I've written this down. There is a wrestler, a freestyle wrestler for the United States of America who won a gold medal. Her name is Tamira Mensa Stock. Look her up on YouTube, anywhere online. And I knew nothing about her. Again, I love the Olympics because I like the moments that you're not expecting, right? I know you're going to always, get most of the press from events like swimming, gymnastics, certain track and field events like the 100-meter sprint. But when you find these folks who, they're a freestyle wrestler, so they're not going to become rich from their sport. They're doing it because they love their sport. They've probably been working on this for a decade to get this, maybe 3-minute bout for the medal. And so I saw this interview after she won the gold medal. She's from Katy, Texas. And, talked about her story. She wrestled in high school. Kind of, they saw some talent in her and pointed her in the right direction to chase her dream down. And she's now won a gold medal in the Olympics in 2021. But what caught me was her interview after she won the gold medal. That NBC, all the outlets kind of talk to the athletes after they have their event. They kind of go to this socially distant mic and they ask them a couple of questions. And this athlete, Tamira, was asked, how excited are you to win a gold medal in the Olympics? And her answer was just, it's what I wish every athlete could kind of see. She was so proud to win that gold medal. You could just see the joy in her. Like, she was jumping up and down and she was just beside herself. And she was thanking not only God, but her trainers and her coaches and her family and everybody who kind of got her to that point. And they also asked her, what does this mean to you? And she said that she was super excited that she got to represent the United States of America. For me, again, you guys know my thoughts on this. I play God Bless the USA every 4th of July on the podcast at the end of the show. I love our country. And to see somebody that truly expressed that kind of love in the Olympics was pretty amazing. That made me I'm in her corner forever. Like, that's an athlete that I really enjoy and that I want to see succeed because she got an opportunity, and it sounds like she worked really, really hard in a sport that you don't get a lot of publicity for, but she did a great job and she went ahead and represented our country and got us a gold medal. How cool is that? So look her up, Tamira Mensa Stock. Awesome. If you need a little inspiration today, that'll do it for the week. Also, another moment I want to throw in here that I've really enjoyed from these Olympics, and you've probably seen this story by now, but if you haven't, I want to put this out there. It's the two gentlemen who were competing, different countries, where they were doing the high jump, and they both got to like a really high level. They both got to some, height that was really, really high. And they, of course, they just keep moving it up until one guy makes it, one guy faults. And they got to a point where they both made one height, but neither could make the next height. And so they were going to do it. They were going to keep going till, somebody faulted. But what happened was, one of the gentlemen, I think he's from Botswana, he said, can we have 2 gold medals? And so the official that was kind of explaining the jump off rules said, yeah, I think we can do that. And it was just, these two guys came together and they both instantly became Olympic gold medalists. And, that's really what sports is about, right? They both succeeded. It was cool. It wasn't like a second place consolation prize. They were friends. They were not from the same country. They were not on the same team, but they knew each other from competitions throughout the years. And, the joy that they could share this gold medal was pretty awesome. So look at the high jump gold medal thing and look that up on Google. Again, need a little shot of inspiration. There it is. You're welcome. I love that kind of stuff. All right. 4th topic, 90s technology. So this morning when I was running towards the end of my run, here came a van in our subdivision. And we got a lot of older people that live in our subdivision for some reason, especially on the other street by the lake. And I see the Geek Squad van pull up. And so, I listen to a lot of tech podcasts, and I've heard good things and bad things about Geek Squad, about their abilities and so forth. But I know there's a time and a place for them. And it got me to thinking, not just about technology, but about how cool like 90s technology is. And maybe it's because of where I was during the 90s, right? I graduated high school in 1992. So in the 90s, that was all my college experience. And I started teaching full-time in 1998. So the thing was, like, what I was thinking about is I saw Geek Squad because I thought about Best Buy, and I thought about how Best Buy was just like, back in the day. Again, this was way before an iPhone. anything like that. Just how cool 90s technology was and how consumed I was with 90s technology back in the day. So I had a big beige box, a big PC computer back then. And I just remember like the excitement of Netscape Navigator and getting to get on the internet and, read sites from around the world. Remember like sites like, not even MySpace, but like GeoCities, how you could personalize your place on the web and you'd put a little counter on your website and you would go back each, day and see, oh my gosh, 3 other people hit this website in the last 24 hours. That's so cool. And they can be from anywhere in the world. And, just being able to, I remember we had a thing where I taught my very first year. It was a little add-on to the OS on the computers, the operating system, and it was called Snapmail. And so what we did a lot was we'd email each other because we had this client called Eudora. I don't know if you ever used it. That was kind of like our default. We had to use Eudora as I started teaching, and that's how we emailed each other. But then a few of us got this little add-on to our OS called Snapmail. And what it was, looking back, it was just an instant messenger. But we thought it was like the coolest thing ever in the late 90s. I would snap my buddy Dave across the hall. Pam was next door and we'd snap each other. And it was just like we were getting away with something, right? We were talking during the school day without leaving our classrooms. Like we didn't have to just meet in the hall to talk while the kids were changing classes. We could snap each other messages and say, oh, what do you want for lunch? You want to go to McDonald's? Somebody got to run to McDonald's for all of us. And I'll pitch in. It was just the coolest. And then again, like your GeoCities page, and you got to go on Netscape Navigator and you got to get a hold of, you saw the thing about Netscape Navigator, I think that made it magical was the icon, right? You had that big N, and then you had kind of the world from space, the horizon there, where the atmosphere is. And it felt like, really felt like you were going out around the world to gather information. Like if I was on the internet when I was in my college campus computer lab, I felt like I was really going out there, and it felt, I don't know, maybe we're so spoiled with technology because everything literally published in the world is at our fingertips on our smartphone. You can, use your AirPods to call up all kinds of information via voice. Maybe it's so accessible we don't think about it anymore. But God, in the 90s, technology to me was mind-blowing. It was mind-blowing. And so as fun as it is to have things that work nowadays for the most part, like back then, it was a crapshoot whether stuff would work. If it worked, it was great, but a lot of times it didn't. But I'd like to go back to those days for just maybe 24 hours and see what it was like, because it was truly technology was magical back then because it was just being iterated on so quickly and so much was changing. All right, last topic here on Open Mic, and it is called Waiting on 50. So for those of you that are going down to Walt Disney World for October 1st, how excited are you getting? We're at the beginning of August now. We're inside the ADR window of 60 days. I know a lot of folks are planning on where they're going to eat for these this weekend or this little period of time. And what are you hoping to see? Of course, we're getting little nuggets here and there. We got that emblem put on Cinderella Castle the other day, celebrating 50 years. That's pretty cool. I didn't know, but one of our callers called in this past Sunday night on the open line and shared that they have added a portion of Happily Ever After where they basically, using the projection, they animate that big emblem on front of the castle, which I think is very cool because we all know Happily Ever After is going away. So the fact that Disney went in there and added to it, invested a little bit more time on a show that is not going to be around very much longer. Kudos to them. That's very cool. I don't know what your expectations though are for the 50th. I'll be down there. And I'm excited to be there. Don't get me wrong, but this is definitely, and I was there for the 40th anniversary of the Magic Kingdom. And I'll say that my expectations are just to be there. I'm excited that I will get to be in the Magic Kingdom on October 1st and see all the what's going to unfold, just to say I was there. I was there on the 50th. I can say that hopefully forever. And then the next day, I'm really excited. Kind of October 2nd's the day because I'm excited to ride Ratatouille if I don't get to do an AP preview at some point. I'm excited to see Harmonious because I got to find out if this show is worth those barges being anchored in the middle of World Showcase Lagoon. I think that's a question we all have, right? Can we excuse those barges if Harmonious is incredible? but we got to all see. And so I'm doing that on October 2nd. And just really to be there with, I mean, this is basically, you look at a Destination D or a D23, those events really kind of pull out the main Disney geeks, right? And then I say geeks, I'm a geek, right? It's a nice term. We're huge fans. And I think that level of fandom over that weekend of October 1st on a Walt Disney World is going to be off the charts. I mean, if you're looking for a 1 to a 10, how geeky it's going to be for Disney fans over that weekend, probably it's at about just 17.2. It's going to be crazy. And I'm looking forward to seeing so many friends that maybe I haven't seen in 5, 6 years. I was talking to Mike Bankhead the other day on email, and he's going to be down there for the 50th. And I said, how cool is it going to be? Not that we don't love Run Disney. We all love Run Disney. I mean, you don't have to ask me, but we're going to all be there kind of like a Run Disney weekend without any races. It's just going to be having fun. Just, we don't have to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning, get on a bus and go run, 12 miles, 13 miles, 26 miles, what have you. We're just going to be able to go experience Walt Disney World with fans that are geeked out on this stuff like us. So it's going to be an incredible thing, but I'm wondering what you're hoping to see, what you're expecting to see, what your plans are. What are you looking forward to? So I've given a lot of topics here on open mic this week, about 5 minutes or less on each. Drop by patreon.com/BeOurGuest podcast. Give me some feedback for next week. We'll dive into that for the show. And I just hope that you're doing well and hope you're enjoying these podcasts. So I'm going to get out of here and get back to work and wish you a great weekend. And thank you once again for your support of the podcast here on Patreon. It means a lot to us. So I thank you so much for supporting everything we do. So until we talk again, you guys stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you real soon. All righty. See y'all later.